And Mr. Smythe, when you get into the center of the group, you do not recognize the symbol because you have been away from the civilized world for a while. But so that everybody else knows, you see on the armbands of these people that you are in the center of, they have a swastika with a dagger through the center of it. And now, Professor.
So we know it's the Thule Society, correct?
Once you get close enough, yes, you will know that is the symbol of the Thule Society.
The professor walks up to the first guy that's standing next to the woman that got shot, and
calls the police and fire department.
It's New York City. You gotta deal with it.
What are these strange noises in the cavern?
Must be birds of some exotic nature.
The professor just looks at him and says, "Dear chap, why don't you help your friend there?" And as soon as he looks away, he just goes to punching.
Which is a dirty trick. You have a specialty in that. I love it.
She's untied.
Yeah. So that's 2 successes?
Which doesn't beat his defense of 3. So this is a case where your fist connects. This is a square-jawed, picture perfect Aryan sort of representative, and your fist connects with his jaw, and his head doesn't move.
Ooh. Well, gentlemen, this one's for you.
Archie, I believe he's talking to you. You're next in the group.
All right, so I'm going to take my camera. I will turn it on this, perfect figure. And I'm going to zoom in slowly on that Nazi, the swastika with the dagger. And then as I've got it perfectly in frame, I'm going to shoot it and capture the bullet going into it and then the blood coming out.
All right, this since you are also aiming, that is going to be a -2 to this roll.
All right. That is 2 successes.
So it looks like a perfect shot, and the wind comes in and just knocks it off course at the last second, and the bullet goes wide.
We'll fix that in post.
I'll also note one thing, just as a bookkeeping. I hate keeping track of bullets. You have infinite bullets, but you do need to keep track of when you need to reload your gun.
Gotcha.
How do we know when that happens?
So you have a capacity noted on there. So like the Colt 45 is a capacity of 7. So when you fired 7 bullets, then you're going to have to take a round to reload it.
Okay, cool.
And you can also, you could reload after combat. You can always start with a full chamber of bullets if you want. But if this fight goes on long enough, you may have to pause to reload or switch weapons. So Archie's shot went wide, and now it is time for the Thule Society to attack. So we have one person who is on the ground, and she is not going to be doing much of anything this round. However, our perfect specimen is going to go for the professor, who just insulted him, trying to punch him like that. So, Professor, let's see, you got a 4, but your defense is... Oh, wait, no, that's not you.
3?
Oh, yes, your defense is 3. So, Professor, you're getting punched. This is not Captain America punching Hitler. This is Hitler punching you. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of sirens tonight. So this member of the Thule Society just hauls back and punches you in the face. You're going to take 1 point of non-lethal damage. And I should also note, you should be happy that it is merely 1 point, because you'll note that you have a stun rating. And if you take damage that is double your stun rating or more, you are out for that number of rounds.
Okay.
So Professor's a little bit of a glass jaw here. If he gets too much damage, he's just going to be down for the rest of the combat. So this just matches your stun rating. So you're definitely not feeling good right now, but you can keep standing. And now, Mr. Smythe, you are in the middle of 3 other members of the Thule Society. So they are going to be attacking you. Now, because you're being attacked by multiple people, and we're going to do this, we're now switching genres a little bit. We're going to martial arts movie. So you're going to get attacked by one person at a time, all hand-to-hand combat. However, it is more difficult for you to defend as more people attack you. So for this first attack, you're going to get to roll your full defense. However, after that, your second attack, you're going to have -2, and your third attack, you're going to have -4.
Okay.
So let's see this first one. All right, that's 3.
All right. Rolling my defense, which is 5 currently. 2, 3. 3. I matched.
All right, so match is the defender wins. So took a swing and he missed. Second one.
Mike's on.
And this one's -2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One success.
All right. And then this one you're going to be at -4. Ooh, and they rolled a 4.
Come on, a catacon die. Give me 1. Nope. So,
Nope.
Mr. Smythe, he takes one block, takes the other block to his forearm, and then the third shot, he has no blocks left. He used all his blocks. He only learned 2 from his master, so...
yeah, that's next week when you...
Yeah. I actually, next week is the third block, so, I unfortunately... So I got hit.
So that would be 4 non-lethal damage.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
And you have a stun of 2, so that is double your stun rating. So that last one not only connects, but boom, you go down.
Like a soft rag, Mr. Smythe just takes the punch and then limps to the ground and just kind of goes over on his side. The tattoo looks really cool, but it's just a tattoo.
You're no Danny Rand.
I am no Danny Rand.
Charlie. Chadley.
Chadley, saddened, I guess is the word, by seeing his friend bite the big one, is going to sprint over, dropping his gun and pulling out his machete.
Oh man!
Let's see if we can't push the rating board on this one.
Well, welcome to the jungle, indeed.
And let's see.
I will note one thing before you roll, because it sounds like you really want to get in here and start messing some things up.
Yeah.
On your quick reference guide, I have some of the combat maneuvers. One thing you can do is you could make a total attack, which means you lose some of your defense, but you get a +2 to your action. You can also do a flurry attack, which would let you attack 2 people, but you would start having minuses.
And how many people were around Mr. Smythe when he went? Oh boy.
So you could do flurry and split it up between 2 people, or if you really want to just beat down maybe on that one that took out Mr. Smythe for the moment, you could do both attacks on one person. Again, there'd be a minus for that second attack, but that is an option for you.
Is there a way that I could try to attack all 3 of them? That's that flurry, right?
You would be at significant minuses for that third one. You can attempt anything, but I'm going to start taking away a lot of dice.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so you're going to be making a total attack for this,
Yes.
which means that your defense is going to be less, but you don't care because they hurt Mr. Smythe.
Mm-hmm.
So for your first roll, you're going to get a +2 to this to your attack.
Could I also make the argument that I am making a charge, which would give me another +2 to a melee attack?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Get this game already.
It's a numbers game. I've caught on now.
I know some of these words, but numbers. So that is going to be 6 successes on that first attack.
All right, that first attack, you swipe your machete across the Thule Society member's chest, and they're going to stumble back, and oops, there's a cliff. So you took out that guy in one. For your next attack, you do not have the charge bonus anymore. You kind of got that once. You still have your +2 for a total attack, but that's going to be canceled out by the -2 for attacking a second person in the same round.
All right. So that's going to be 4 on that one.
All right. In this case, you machete the person. They're bloodied slash across the chest. You've now just made him angry.
Good thing I'm a thrill seeker, and putting myself in danger is what I love to do. I'm assuming it's going to be another -2 to attack the third person.
Yes, this is going to be a total of -4.
-4. Let's push it. I'm popping a style point.
Push it.
And this one, I got 3 successes.
All right. So this one, scratch on the arm.
Take that.
But you got rid of the first guy that took out Mr. Smythe. And speaking of Mr. Smythe, normally it's your turn, but you are out for this round.
Chadley, avenge me!
I am attempting to do so.
Lifts an arm up weakly and kind of waves, and then the arm drops again.
Oh, even better. As you lift it up to wave, as he runs by, he gives you a low 5.
And then the hand turns into a thumb, and then it falls.
Professor, what do you wish to do?
I've still got the big perfect specimen in front of me, correct?
Yes, you do.
Drago. The professor just looks at Mr. Drago there. Dear chap, you seem to be quite the boxer. And he cracks his knuckles. I studied boxing at Harvard myself. Yes, and he puts his hands up in that old-style boxing.
Oh, yeah. Fisticuffs. So you don't get your dirty tricks bonus for this, but you do still get to roll your 5 brawl dice.
Yep. I'm going to spend one of those style points.
I say my good man is a pugilist.
And I'll note that the professor has such a great brawl rating because he has a talent that basically lets him use intellect rather than strength for calculating this. He has calculated attack. He knows where to hit somebody to make it hurt.
He's like Sherlock Holmes is.
Yeah. 4 successes this time.
Excellent. And that's you crack him across the jaw. You got a good shot in there, but in this case, it's like you crack and he moved this time, but now he just looks more angry.
Oh, Chadley, dear chap, could you please hurry?
And Archie.
Okay, so Archie, Mr. Smythe has already gone down. Chadley's in the thick of it. The professor's useless. So I'm going to, for the moment, lower my camera, raise my gun, and take 2 shots at the perfect specimen. I have the rapid shot talent.
Yes, you do.
So I get +2, but I get -2, so it cancels that out. But I rolled 2 separate attacks.
Yes.
4, 5, and 6. Okay. So my first shot, 3 successes.
All right.
And my second shot, can't do math, 5 successes.
Wow. So you were going for the guy that was that Archie was targeting?
Yes, I think Chadley can handle his own. He seems a rough and tumble sort, but the professor's
You got to protect the brains, of the outfit, and he seems very important to the story of this documentary. So your first hit wings the guy in the shoulder and passes right through completely bloodlessly because of our genre. But the second shot get him right in the gut, and he puts his hands to his stomach, and immediately blood starts flowing through. And you see him look up, and the color drains from his face as he steps backward once, twice, and falls over that convenient cliff.
Good shot, dear Archie.
I was aiming for it. No.
So we have the 3 people that Chadley has been beating up on. Or no, there's just 2 of them now because you knocked one off. the cliff. All right, so first one is going to they're going to be totally intent on Chadley. He's obviously the most dangerous right now. So, and Chadley, you're also going to have your first attack. You're at your full defense, and then your second attack is going to be at -2.
Okay.
Ooh, so 5 is your first one. So you roll your defense.
Yeah. And that is going to be...
Oh, actually, but you are actually at a minus on your defense already because you went full attack. So you are only rolling your passive defense of 3.
Oh, boy. Friends, this may not end well. It does not end well.
Any successes?
Nope.
All right. So that only matches actually no, that's 6. All right, that is double your stun rating. So that first hit, boom, you're going to hit the ground as well as right next to your friend Mr. Smythe.
They sort of fall on each other, and their heads are right next to each other, and it's like a very not quite romantic, but there's a hint of that, you know.
Chadley Smythe OTP calling it.
Come here often.
So our last the last person that is attacking this round, they are going to come for you, Archie. You are the next remaining threat, and so he's going to charge at you, and he's basically just going to try to grapple you.
Okay. I also took the full attack action last turn because I double shot.
Yep. So, in this case, all right. So you're going to be rolling your passive defense against this.
Okay.
This is against a 4.
I got a 1.
All right. So that is, he's definitely going to run into you, and he's going to tackle you to the ground. Yes, because he got more successes than your strength rating, a lot more successes than your strength rating. So you are now, actually he has so many more, I was just checking the grapple rules, he had so many more successes than your strength rating, which is a 1, that you are pinned to the ground, and your next action, all you can do is try to escape using a strength check.
That's going to go over well.
All right, so party isn't looking so great. As our 2 heavy hitters of Mr. Smythe and Chadley are down for the count. Actually, Mr. Smythe, you're going to be up this round. You are hurt. You're not feeling so great, but you awake to Chadley as Chadley falls next to you. His strong body hitting the ground next to you is enough to stir you awake.
You're muted.
I can't hear you. Would have been a lot more effective the first time.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
It looks good.
I was really feeling it. So Smythe throws his hand onto Chadley's unconscious shoulder and uses that as leverage because it's so large and beefy to push himself up off the ground. Stretches his arms in front of him, and he looks at is there 1 standing now or 2 in front of him?
There's 1 standing. It has, actually, no, there's 2 on the ground. One is the woman who has the shot leg, and the other has pinned Archie to the ground.
Well, Smythe is going to almost Terminator walk over that one, toward that one, and I'm going to throw him off of Archie and try and throw him over the cliff.
All right. Make a throw attack.
All right. Roll plus active defense. So that is my...
it's versus their active defense, so your roll is just 5.
Yep, I see that.
And their active defense.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 successes.
Absolutely. He rolled 1, so that is going to, when you succeed at a throw roll, you throw them 5 feet per success that you rolled, and obviously that cliff is less than 15 feet away.
So Smythe walks up and grabs him by the nape of his neck and by the waistband of his pants, and does like almost a back somersault, and then uses his legs to just kick him over the edge of the cliff.
And we hear Wilhelm scream as this otherwise guy's been doing pretty well in combat, gets just tossed overboard.
That's it for the garbage.
Good show, old chap.
And Smythe reaches down to pull Archie up.
And we will say, since combat has essentially resolved, Chadley, you can you wake up just in time to see that brawny show from Mr. Smythe.
Chadley sweats and fans himself a little bit.
And then all that remains is the woman on the ground with her shot leg.
Professor, see to her.
She's right there. This is not my job. Chadley?
Who wants to take me to the hospital?
You'll be fine. Walk it off, good sir.
Rub some dirt on it.
Walk it off.
As you are debating about what to do with this poor woman, somebody approaches. You are on kind of a hill, and you see a small group of people walking up the hill. Mr. Smythe, you would recognize immediately that this group of people is dressed very similarly to the Tibetan monks that live in the same area that you have taken up. They have the saffron-colored robes. They all have shaved or bald heads. But unlike the Tibetan monks, not all of these people are of obvious Tibetan descent. There's African people there. There's several Caucasian people.
It's a rainbow coalition of Tibetan monks.
Yes, exactly. They walk up kind of in a V-shaped formation. One of them is in the lead. They all have their fingers kind of steepled as if in contemplation, and they're walking forward in unified steps.
I'll take care of this, friends. Someone see to Chadley and that poor woman. And Mr. Smythe approaches the group of very diverse people, and starts making a sign language, essentially, trying to communicate with them via sign, doing a very poor job. The professor clearly knows this is not sign language. And after a few sort of random movements, Mr. Smythe puts his hands to the side and just waits for a response.
And the leader of the group, a very petite woman, she's kind of indeterminate age, with the shaved heads, and actually none of them have eyebrows either. It's very difficult to ascertain age.
Is she Irish?
You don't know. She's pale. She could be anything. She's Celtic.
Celtic, yes.
It's like, wait, I understand this reference. She just patiently watched you, kind of a very patient smile on your face. Oh, there's the Taco Bell burrito. And as you finally pause in your gesticulations, she smiles again and nods and says, "Welcome to Shangri-La." Perfect English.
So while this is happening...
You understood me perfectly. Thank you.
But while this is happening, Archibald is walking up, and the row of the natives that have come to meet us, I'm gently sort of pushing them like a step forward or a step back, and I'm lining up shots, and if they're not perfectly lined, I keep just sort of slightly moving everybody.
You attempt to, but they are like trees.
Oh.
Even though these are very slight people, immovable.
Fine, well, you just won't be in the shot then.
The professor steps up in front of Smythe and bows very respectfully to the woman that's the leader, doing as much as he can towards the customs that she would normally follow. And he enters, I am Stefan Logan. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. May I ask your name?
It is a pleasure to meet you, Stefan Logan. Names are not necessary in Shangri-La. We have let go of many of the trappings of the outside world. When you are in paradise, what need do we have of them? And she just smiles very beatifically at you.
That is a very good point.
The addlement seems to have originated from these folks.
Professor, you may make an empathy roll if you would like. This is going to be a difficulty 4.
Okay. Got it. 4 exactly.
You sometimes get this tingling feeling in the back of your neck, a spidey sense, some people might say, where you know things, and there's no rational way you can know them, but you feel you're getting a sense from these people that they have almost this calm that this woman has. She's radiating it in a supernatural way, essentially. She is this goes far beyond any sort of meditation that you have read about or studied, and you actually can feel that there's been a lot of adrenaline pumping through the group in the course of combat. And you can just kind of feel that everybody, that this calmness that is radiating from her is spreading to the rest of the party. And in fact, everybody else, as this woman speaks, this is just the most peaceful place you have ever been in. What troubles did you have? You were fighting a minute ago, and that just seems foolish now.
Well, gentlemen, I think we are safe here, and we should perhaps take some time to learn their ways. And the professor just pulls out a book and kind of starts scrolling some information down, describing what he's feeling and how he's feeling.
Smythe looks up and says, "Do you have anything to eat?"
And again, the woman just smiles and is like, "Of course, all is provided in Shangri-La." And 2 of the monks from the back of the formation, they've gone to the woman who was injured, and they are helping her up. She doesn't appear to really want to be helped at first, but much like the rest of you, she very quickly stops resisting, and she goes along quite willingly as they're leading her back down the hill that they just came up on. And the woman that you were speaking to, Smythe, she steps aside a little bit and gestures at her arm. Archie, she steps exactly where you had wanted her to step. It's like, of course, now she moves.
Yes.
And
Filming the whole time.
please, we would like you to join us for our next meal.
Smythe turns to the group. "They would like us to dine with them."
Oh, good show, Old Tap. I'd love to document that.
I would love to eat it.
The professor's just kind of glaring at Mr. Smythe. Mr. Smythe, you can talk normal to these people. They are very intelligent.
They're clearly, natives of this land, or at least adopted natives. We may need to simplify our speech for them.
I do not believe you need to do that. Perhaps
we can agree to disagree, Professor.
No, you will understand that maybe they are simplifying their speech for us.
Again, we can agree to disagree, Dr. Logan. I spent much time in the Himalayas, and these people are simple folk.
How many times in the Himalayas have you gone through a portal to a paradise and met people like this?
Well, now you're just being difficult.
I don't believe I am the one being difficult here. I believe you are.
Come, let us eat their simple, wholesome food with them.
How about we make a deal? If their food is not just simple, you will stop treating them like they are simple.
Deal?
The professor holds his hand out.
I'm going to use my flaw because I'm trying to lie to him that I will abide by this contract.
All right. right, so
I have a -2 penalty whenever I try to lie or cheat.
all right. So I will. I'm not going to make you roll this.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's see. Should I make you guys roll? Do you guys want to roll it?
Yeah. I'm trying to use my flaw
All right. So you
to
are
try
going
a mechanic.
So let's see. In order to deceive somebody, you do not have the deception skill.
I don't,
No.
because I'm horrible at it.
Yes. So when you do not have a skill, you are rolling the primary attribute associated with it -2. So in this case, it's charisma, which would be 1, and then you're at a -2. So technically, you can't even make this roll.
Awesome.
Professor,
so Smythe puts his hand out and clearly has his fingers crossed on the other hand, and he's actually not holding it behind his back. He's got it like to his side. He's not trying at all. Really.
Professor, you don't even have to roll. Your empathy is quite good. That's what you would use to defend here. You see everything.
The professor leans over and whispers in Mr. Smythe's ear, "If you do not live up to this deal, I will make sure Chadley never takes off his shirt in your presence again."
Bad form, sir. Bad form.
Both of you take a style point. That was fun.
So, I'm talking to the lead lady, the nameless one. I hate to inform you, but there's this cliff nearby, and there happen to be a couple of gentlemen that have fallen, possibly. If you were to retrieve their bodies, I have some personal items that I'm missing that I think might be on them.
She kind of looks back over her shoulder at the cliff, and she says, "All will be returned."
Oh, good show, good show.
And in fact, 2 more of the monks they peel off, and they're making their way along the hill, and they're obviously going around the chasm of that cliff to presumably retrieve the people that you so carelessly tossed overboard.
I like to think that they fell.
And it's a fairly short walk to towards where they are taking you, and all of you have a chance to kind of look around at the this fascinating place that you have walked into. Absolutely, Archie, you are filming constantly. This camera hasn't been set down in quite a while. And so, obviously, this is an absolutely beautiful paradise that you have walked into. But as you kind of look beyond, it's I'd say about 2 miles that you can see near the top of this hill of absolutely lush, beautiful oasis. And in the center of it, you see a sort of village has been built. Professor and Mr. Smythe, you especially would recognize that the buildings are very Tibetan in origin. Although I'm not purely, there seems to be a little bit of, you'd almost say Greek influence, especially Professor, you would notice this. It's a strange amalgamation of cultures that have constructed these buildings, it seems. And in the center of the complex, there is a very ornate temple, and then around it, you see several very simple shacks have been built. But then beyond this 2-mile radius, you again see fierce, desolate mountains like the Himalayas that you left. You can see windstorms blowing snow across the peaks. Absolutely makes no sense how this sort of oasis can exist in the middle of such tempestuousness.
This architecture is amazing. It seems there's some Russian influence. I see some Eastern Asian influence there, but yet it's so Tibetan.
Yes, there is Tibetan. There's also Greek, not Russian. You're close. Close. Just a little further south. See the pillars, very much Greek. Russian would have little domes on top.
Lots of cultures used pillars.
But if you notice the particular cut of the stone, this is obviously very Greek.
Well, it's all Greek to me.
Take a point, Archie.
Bam!
It's got walls.
As
I
you
recognize those.
Good.
And as you're led into the village itself, Professor, you definitely notice you're looking more closely at these columns, and they're definitely there's some marble columns, there's some limestone columns, several different stones were used, none of which are native to the Himalayas.
Interesting. The professor walks up next to the woman who seems to be their leader. May I inquire as to where the pillars came from?
They're obviously from around here.
She looks at the pillars and is like, much like us, they have always been here.
The professor just looks stunned. That doesn't make sense. The Himalayas don't normally have this type of stone here.
She smiles again, and for the first time you see a hint of confusion in that smile, and she says, what are the Himalayas?
They're a mountain range that we came from.
Oh, yes, of course. From beyond.
Beyond... May I ask, beyond what?
From beyond the entrance.
Is that the only entrance?
It is the only entrance at that time.
Okay. Where is the entrance at other times?
It is where the entrance needs to be.
Smythe is obviously confused but trying to hide it.
Chadley is not trying to hide it.
Professor, if you'd like to make another academics roll, you can see if you can parse together what she's saying.
4 successes?
With 4 successes, you remember, again, in the midst of Shangri-La, not only is the entrance tend to appear to travelers who are in trouble and in danger, but it is a place that is much easier to enter than it is to leave. And you know that she has mentioned entrances. She has said nothing about an exit, as well as the entrance where it needs to be. That would imply where travelers need it to be.
So the entrance is where it needs to be. How do you control it? How do you open and close it?
We are but human beings. We do not dare to think that we can control fate.
You'll have to excuse him. The professor can't wrap his mind around the depth of Tibetan philosophy at play here.
Do enlighten me, Smythe.
See, we are here, but we are not here. We are present, but not present. This is a place that exists in a time that does not exist.
And where did you read this?
That is not important.
It's the back of a cereal box.
The inside of a bubblegum wrapper.
Chadley, you mentioned that you were very confused by all of this as you are walking in. Are you just kind of looking around, tagging along with?
Yeah, I think Chadley tuned out as soon as they started talking about stuff, and he lost train of thought. But he is just marveling over the various flora and fauna, which I assume are as collaged and cobbled together as the architecture and the people here.
Absolutely. In fact, much of it you can't even begin to identify. There's just, even in all of your world travels, other people might find it humbling. Maybe you find it humbling, maybe it's insulting that there are things in this world that you still haven't seen. The things that you do recognize, ferns and trees, they're much larger than you've ever encountered before. A fern that you saw in deepest, wildest Africa, that normally grows knee high, you see it seems to have grown chest high here.
I would love to just as they're talking, absent-mindedly step away, distracted, to go investigate some of these ferns and maybe see if I can't get a little bit close to the wildlife that moves around.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. You see that you don't see any cattle or any sort of domesticated animals in this area, which is definitely interesting for this civilization in the middle of nowhere. That they don't have animals like that. But as you're going through the underbrush, you see a lot of insects, beetles, grubs, centipedes, again, that have grown much larger than you've ever encountered. You watch one centipede weave through the ferns, and at first you think it's a snake, honestly, because it's as long as your arm. And then you notice all of the thousands, it must be, legs that are creeping along the vines.
I think Chadley's got like anime eyes because this is all beautiful and like incredible. He's pumped. He would probably try and reach out and grab the centipede.
Yeah, and it doesn't bite, or it's not. It's a centipede, so it just crawls up your arm as happy to climb on you as it was on the fern.
Nice. I think he's going to notice that he's made his way farther from his companion, so he's going to return, but centipede in tow.
Yeah, you have an animal companion now.
All right, I'll move the camera over towards him because he has an innocent face. It's a great contrast as he sees things and his emotional reaction to them. The audience will see and feel that as well. So he's a great palette for me to work with. So
absolutely.
Plus, I mean, he's built, so he's photogenic. So I want to get that in there too.
Yeah, you know where the money comes.
Exactly.
Smythe dives behind the professor. Chadley, what is that?
It's some sort of
something's
centipede
on you.
Worm. Oh, you don't have a thing for bugs, do you?
Oh, you got muted again.
I think you got muted again. Something is on you. What? Where? As he's like holding this.
Yeah. Here, hold this while.
And the monk finally leads you to the entrance to this central temple complex. Again, it has the ornate pillars from a couple of different architectural backgrounds, as well as being inlaid with beautiful jewels. Golden fixtures are along the roof. Just absolute opulence in the middle of what's otherwise a very mild village, a very simple village. And just as the lead monk, she kind of steps aside and says, please, the abbot would wish to meet you. You hear from overhead a piercing, shrieking cry. And just before all of you walk in, everyone looks up, and you see this great beast flying in the sky. Professor.
Yes.
These things have only been hinted at. The literature isn't very deep yet, but you are fairly certain that is what other scientists have called a pterodactyl.
Professor just stands there with his mouth wide open, and he kind of taps Archie and just points up. And he kind of grabs the camera and points it up for him.
Up. Yeah, and it's just this flying lizard that shrieks as it crosses the sky. It doesn't land, doesn't seem to be bothering anybody, just flies through the sky before you walk inside.
I say, I'm going to need some more film soon.
Yes, and you may have to record over the other stuff when we get that film back from the Thule Society. Excuse me, ma'am. Do those fly overhead often?
Of course, they are part of Shangri-La. It is their nature to fly, just as it is our nature to walk.
What in the land beyond, as I believe you called it, those don't exist anymore.
How unfortunate for you. Please, come inside.
Is it true that they eat meat? Are they going to eat us?
They have not yet.
What now?
Will they potentially eat us?
It is not in their nature to have done it before, but I cannot speak to what is their nature in the future.
Okay. What other type of creatures? Is there anything larger than that we need to be prepared for?
At the question, is there anything larger, Chadley looks like really excited and expectant, like, please say that there is.
There are many creatures that live within Shangri-La and the mountains beyond, but please, come inside. And she just smiles.
She'd like us to come inside with her.
I feel like Smythe is Sigourney Weaver in Galaxy Quest.
I'll look at Smythe. Could you ask her if they have film that I could use for my camera?
You can ask her yourself.
Excuse me, miss, do you have film for a camera?
That is not something that Shangri-La provides.
They don't have any, Archibald. They do not have it here. Film is a foreign concept.
Oh.
They don't understand this camera technology you have.
I see Chris is dying.
Maybe we could find the resources to make it for you. Let's not worry about that right now.
Some paradise. They don't even have film. Oh.
What kind of backwater place is this?
Exactly. Where am I going to show my movie?